Sunday night. You know this feeling. The week hasn't even started, and you're already exhausted by it. You're 40 years old. You have a title, a salary, a house that looks exactly like the life you were supposed to want. And somewhere, deep behind the routine, a question you keep postponing. Is this it? Here's what I need you to understand before this video ends. You are not behind. You are not trapped. You are not running out of time. You are, for the first time in your entire adult life, in the exact financial and psychological position you need to be in to do something completely different. The problem is not that the exit doesn't exist. The problem is that nobody stopped to show it to you. Let's start with the data, because the data on being 40 years old is more interesting than anything I've heard from a financial advisor. Statistically, you are entering your peak earning decade, not the beginning of the end, the beginning of the most financially powerful phase of your life. The average age of a successful entrepreneur is not 25, it's 45. The genius kid in a garage story makes great movies. It just doesn't match the data. And here is the one that changes everything. Your need for social validation, the invisible force that has been quietly destroying your finances since your first paycheck, peaks in your 20s and declines every single year after that. By 40, most men have crossed a threshold that the financial industry never accounts for. You've stopped needing to prove things. And that shift, quiet, invisible, never celebrated, is worth more than a raise. It is worth more than a market recovery, because almost every bad financial decision you've ever made had someone else's opinion inside it. Between 22 and 40, something quietly happened to your money. It didn't go to investments. It didn't go to assets. It went to an audience. The car upgrade, so your colleagues at the new job wouldn't judge. The neighborhood, so your family would stop asking questions. The watch, so you'd feel like you belonged in the room. Every single one of those purchases had a ticket price and a hidden cost. That car decision at 30 wasn't a car decision. It was a $187,000 decision. Nobody told you that at the dealership. By 40, most men have made that decision 4 or 5 times. And here's the thing that changes now. At 40, you don't need the car to prove anything anymore. Not because you gave up, because you grew up. And that quiet shift from what will people think to what do I actually need is the most underrated financial event of a man's life. Here's the exercise I want you to do. Not tomorrow. Tonight. Sit down with a piece of paper and write down your actual number. Not your salary, not what you think you need. What is the minimum you actually need to live well? Your mortgage, your rent, your food, your utilities. One car, reliable, paid off. Health insurance, and a few things that actually matter to you. No keeping up, no performing, no audience. For most people who do this exercise honestly, the number is between 30 and 50% of what they currently earn. That gap between what you earn and what you actually need is not a savings opportunity. It is a freedom number. Think about what that means. If you need $3,000 a month to live, and you currently earn $7,000, you have $4,000 a month that is currently paying for an audience that stopped watching years ago. At 40, you are finally old enough to see this clearly, and young enough to actually do something about it. Let's talk about the entrepreneurship myth. The story we've been sold is simple. Great businesses are started by 25-year-olds in garages. The data tells a completely different story. The average age of founders of the fastest-growing new companies is 45. Founders over 40 are 3 times more likely to build a $1 million company than those under 30. At 40, you have something no 25-year-old can buy. Domain expertise, a real professional network, the ability to read people and situations, enough financial stability to take a calculated risk, and most importantly, you've already seen how most businesses fail. You've been in the room, you've watched the mistakes happen. You know the shortcuts that aren't really shortcuts. That knowledge, accumulated over 15 years of someone else's payroll, is a business asset you've been giving away for free. The question at 40 is not whether you have enough experience. The question is whether you're going to keep renting it to someone else for the rest of your career, or finally start using it for yourself. Here's what the math says about starting at 40. Not starting over, starting right. $1,000 a month. Starting today at 40 gives you $1.1 million at 65. Not because you were lucky, because compound interest doesn't care how long you waited to start. It only cares when you begin. And here is what makes 40 different from 25. At 25, you had time, but no money and no clarity. At 30, more money. But lifestyle inflation had already started eating it. At 35, earning more. But the car, the house, the children, it all arrived at once. At 40, for the first time, all 3 conditions exist simultaneously. You have the income, you have the clarity, and you still have 25 years for the math to work. This window, right here, right now, is the one most men sleep through. I want to leave you with one question, not a goal, not a resolution, one honest question. How much of your current life are you living for yourself? And how much are you performing for people who aren't watching? Because here's what 40 actually is. It is the age where the performance finally starts to cost more than it returns, where the Sunday dread is no longer a price worth paying, where the next title, the next car, the next level starts to feel less like progress and more like the same loop. You built the experience, you built the network, you built the income, you have everything. The only question is what you're going to build with it. Calculate your freedom number tonight, not your retirement goal, not your net worth, the minimum you actually need to live the life that belongs to you. You might be closer than you think. Subscribe, because next time, you're going to want to open your account statement.